Practice today giving as you would like to receive. You have a full 24 hours here. Really look at this, okay? We've all heard this golden truth, right? The golden rule. But really it's on each of us within ourselves to look at it, and are we actually living it practically? Because it's so easy to say these things like, oh yeah, do the right thing or be a good person, but then we run into cognitive dissonance because we don't always live it. We've actually automated, it's become autopilot for us to just live in self-interest alone and not actually really care about what happens to another person. Unless, it gets really bad and then we have to, speak out about it, or if it gets really bad, then we may have some empathy towards others. Rather, what I'm here going to suggest in this video is step-by-step ways so you can automate giving as you want to receive. Now, I'm reflecting back in the past year. I've become great friends. This one guy named Asif, and he and I had been talking at length. We like to talk about very deep concepts and business and all sorts of things, but we had this one really profound conversation, and it was about looking at human evolution over time, right? We came from whatever we came from, right? And then we became Homo sapien. And then there's Homo sapiens sapien, which means Homo sapien is that we're thinking. But then Homo sapiens sapien is that we're thinking that we're thinking. It's like we're aware that we think. But that's still not enough. There's a next evolution to this, which is now we get to actually use our thinking, but now transcend from just that self-interest point. Because if you look at evolution and us surviving over generations and all that, there's still self-interest has been the driver to that. It's like, get enough for me, get enough for my family, get enough for my group, my tribe, whatever. But them over there, screw them. Or they're my enemy, or I can't trust them, or whatever our reason is. It's really just an excuse. Because what we have now, for the first time ever, is the ability to establish an equal in one understanding of words and language and principles. Plus we have the internet, so we're all interconnected. So literally for the first time ever, this couldn't have happened in the early 80s or 90s or even 2000s because internet wasn't common. And even still around a lot of the world, internet is not really a thing, having smartphones, having tablets, things like that. But technology is getting cheaper and easier to print, so that now we can distribute, you can make like a fake tablet or an iPad for print it for like $10-15, and you could distribute these around the world. So now look at this. This is time for the next evolution from Homo sapiens sapien to now beyond that, where now the human, instead of having automated self-interest alone, the human has now automated giving as you would like to receive. Have you ever looked at an ant colony, for example? Or you ever see those birds, right, and they're all flying together? Is there any self-interest going on there? When those ants are building that ant colony, are some ants just like hoarding their resources to the side so that they're good? No, they just work together. It's who they are as ants. And what if the world actually looked like that? If you were looking down somehow at the world, like let's say the next time you're in an airplane, look down at the world and start to see that as, how do we actually all work together? Distribute resources equally. Because that's absolutely possible. However, it takes responsibility to take on and change our education, because we've been programmed from day one to just live for self-interest. And then you go to church and you do this, that, and the other thing to make you feel like a good person, and you say, oh yeah, I'm living the message of Jesus or whatever. But then you actually really honestly look at your life. Are you really giving as you'd like to receive? That requires self-honesty. So start to look at this and see that for the first time ever, we're able to actually give as we would like to receive on a sustainable way for the earth as a collective. Because now we don't have to view it like us and them. Over here we're us, over there that's them. Rather, it's like a collective whole. It's like like the body too. This happens in biology. You have a bunch of little cells, and they all work together to produce something greater than the cells, which is an organ. And then you have all the different organs working together to produce something greater than themselves, which is the body. Now we have a bunch of different bodies. You got my body, you got your body, everyone else watching this video. We have now the opportunity to actually communicate as equals, give as you would like to receive. Granted, this is going to take trust, and this is going to be a process, and it requires you to be able to stand in the face of adversity, and if people betray you and things like that, you're going to have to walk through that. You're going to have a set of rules by which you can even establish trust. Because right now, give as you'd want to receive. Like, would I trust some random stranger with valuable things to me? No, I'd have to prove that trust. But I can take steps in order to get to know, to understand them, where they're coming from, establish a relationship, and then you start giving as you'd like to receive. And you can start small, but it builds, and it builds, and it builds. So that's giving as you'd like to receive. Now, I'm going to read to you the actual breakdown of the definition of this, because this is a very well thought out description here. Okay, give as you would like to receive. Considering the context and the lives of each individual being. Yeah, that's big. Now, considering, regarding, and supporting them in the way that I would have liked to be considered, regarded, and supported had I been in their place, lived in their life, where the support that I give does not compromise myself or cause harm to anyone. Wow. So simple, so straightforward. We see this in the world right now, especially where there's things like, people talking about systemic racism and, can you as this certain race really understand where I'm coming from as this other race, right? Or just in all different aspects of society. So it's really working on considering and regarding and supporting others in the way that we would like to be supported. And this is a process. It's not just an overnight thing, but that's why I said at the beginning of this video, I encourage you and I challenge you for the next 24 hours, do something that is giving as you'd like to receive. Maybe if you want someone to be there for you and ask you questions and, just like talk with you and be supportive. Instead of you just waiting for someone to do that for you, how about do that for someone else, right? Talk with them, reach out to that person, send them a Facebook message. If you have like 1,000 Facebook friends, there's probably 200 people online right now. You can start that conversation. Maybe you want to have a meal and you want your partner to make you a meal. Well, look at this. Maybe you could make that meal for them. So it's this process of flipping it from, oh, I want them to give something to me. Instead, it's just, how can I be the starting point here? How can I take responsibility and create as myself and then give to others as I want to receive? Plus, think about this. The times in your life when you've been the happiest, it's likely when you were giving. It is such a good feeling to be able to give, even if it's just your time, your attention, your energy. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be some charitable donation. Just giving of yourself, of your very presence. That is powerful. And as we do this, you build it into a habit. You connect with other people doing this. This is then how we can establish these principles that I'm talking about over the next 13 videos. Is it fits into this greater context of giving as we'd like to receive, and then doing it in a systematic way. So then, like I was talking about earlier about, for example, an ant colony, or different systems in nature, how it's symbiotic and we give to each other. That then becomes the norm. That's what becomes automated. But right now we have to look and honestly realize we have automated our self-interest and our own self-preservation and survival. That's what ego is. But you can work it through the process of forgiving the ego and then actually committing yourself to then being just for giving. Life is forgiving. But let's break that apart. Life is for giving. Look at the trees. Look at the sun. Look at the air. It's all just giving into this greater system. The animals themselves are giving, right? The plants, everything around you, the water, it's just giving. It doesn't say, oh, you weren't good yesterday, so I'm just going to stop. Like the sun doesn't do that. It doesn't say, oh, I'm not going to shine the sun anymore because, yesterday you sinned or whatever, right? That doesn't happen in nature. So, how can we as humans become equal to that, equal to nature, equal to life itself, where we can be forgiving? Right, so that's really the challenge, and then that is giving as you'd like to receive. And for those who are afraid to give as they'd like to receive, because maybe you've done it before, or maybe you were very giving and very generous in the past, but it wasn't appreciated, right? And then that's why it's like, oh, why am I wasting my time on that because they aren't appreciating me? I encourage you to look at it again in a new unit of time, and to check out the other videos that I've made on principles, because if you're just giving as you'd like to receive, but you aren't grounded in other principles like what's best for all, self-honesty, self-responsibility, self-awareness, things like that, it's going to be limited. But when you're able to be grounded in living as principle, as who you are, as a living expression in every moment, again, it's a process to get there, but you can. Once you have that basis, then giving as you'd like to receive becomes an expression of who you are, and then you give fully and you receive fully. And that's not just some cliche that you read in some book. It's an actual living experience and a living truth that you can have. And with that, I encourage you today to really honestly look at giving as I want to receive, and write it down. All right, grab a piece of paper, write it down on a pen. I am giving as I would like to receive. And just revisit it every day this week, okay? So that's giving as you'd like to receive, one of the most important principles that we can look at. It's essential if we want to actually get ahead as a collective and make the world a place that's actually best for all. Because if you aren't giving as you'd like to receive, we will stay stuck. We will just stay stuck, and we'll hit this barrier of being self-interested alone. So it's going to require forgiveness. It's going to require looking at things from a higher perspective. And I know and I guarantee that it will absolutely be worth it, because this is how we will get to the next level. All right, everyone, enjoy the video, share it with others, and let's give as we would like to receive.